Welcome to the live. Got our first viewer in. Let's go. Welcome to the live. Hello, hello. How are we doing on this awesome Tuesday? If you're in the live right now, only person in here, back to 0. Okay. Oh, now we're getting people in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. Happy Tuesday. We're going to start off the live with dropping what you ate today. Doesn't matter, meal, snack, anything. I just ate my lunch. It was really good. 4 boiled eggs, avocado, a little bit of chipotle mayo, kept it like 1.5 servings. And then I had a little bit of part skim mozzarella cheese on top. It's really good. And then I had actually some Oreo minis and a small, like a snack size chocolate bar, like this big. I usually like to keep the snack size chocolate bars, and I keep them like back a cupboard, so they're not. I don't keep them out like so I see them all the time because it's very easy to indulge when it's in your line of vision. But if it's like hidden in the back of your cupboard, you're less likely to go into that box and just eat the entire thing. Especially if they're regular size. If they're snack size, you know, 50, 60 calories, not really a big deal. They are really easy to overeat on because they're so small, which is why I can turn a like Snickers bar that's like this big into 3 bites. And the more bites you turn something in, the more basically your brain, it kind of like convinces your brain like you're eating more than you actually are. Oh, we got 9 people in here. Appreciate all you in here. If you could drop, something you ate today. Maybe you hit a workout. If you hit a workout, like let me know what you did for your workout. Hey, if you went for a walk, drop it. Let's get a conversation going. What's going on? We got 16 people in here. Is my chat on? Chat filter, automatic chat. My chat is not going. Can someone type? You know what? Hold on. I'm going to go into this live and see if my chat is working because I can't see any chats right now. I'm going to go on another account and see what the problemo is because I feel like y'all are, dropping some messages. I just can't see them. Hello. Oh, messages do work. So yeah, I guess messages do work. So we have 15 people in here. We're all really shy individuals, it seems. Like 18 people in here now. If you guys have any questions about, your fat loss journey, muscle building, toning up, building healthier habits, anything that's reasonable and appropriate, I'd be happy to help you out. There we go. We got a high in there. What's going on? Angie, welcome to the live. Happy to have you in. I can't believe we have 17 people in here. Usually when we get like three people, usually when we get people in here, they start saying hi at least, but the people in here seem to be shy, and if we're not communicating, then we can't really get a conversation going. So Uh, you got a question going in. All right, great, great. Thank you so much. I usually like to start off with like, what did you eat today? But like nobody wanted to share. So okay. So how's it going? Going great. Thank you for asking. Aggie, is it Aggie? I could be butchering that. I'm so sorry. Is it true walking can be more beneficial than running or sprints long term? In the purpose of it's easier on your joints, so it just depends on the person. It's easier on your joints, it's easier to sustain long term. If you're someone who likes, running and sprinting, you can work that in there, but like to do that every day can put a lot of wear and tear on your joints unless you're someone who's a like professional athlete that's in that, like has to explore, like do those more explosive movements. Otherwise, I would say walking is the more sustainable thing, and you should be walking ideally every single day, at least 20, 30, 40 minutes a day. Hey, I'm searching for some high protein, about 50, and I'm a student trying to lose weight. So your best friends here, cottage cheese, canned tuna, canned chicken, like deli meats are really good. um, what else? you know, a lot of people are getting like lightly breaded frozen chicken breasts, really easy to cook. Those are usually pretty high in protein. They're lightly breaded, like Real Good Foods has a really good brand for those. In terms of 50, like protein powder, really easy. Just putting like couple, 2 scoops, 1.5 scoops of protein powder that pretty much gets you to 50 grams of protein. Adding things like canned beans and things to like canned tuna. I would do canned tuna and then add some black beans, canned black beans. So it's all like canned stuff at the end of the day. And you get the protein, the fiber, and the beans add even more protein on top of it. And it's really cheap, inexpensive. Eggs too are pretty inexpensive, where you can make, add, a couple yolks, add some egg whites if you're not looking to drive the calories up so much, and you can get that 50 grams of protein pretty easily. Can eating healthy improve depression? Yes, absolutely. Coupled with exercise. You are my role model. Really appreciate that, Angie. Yeah, it means a lot to me, and I really appreciate your support. I'm happy that I'm able to have a positive impact on all of you. That is my goal at the end of the day. Is 60 kgs healthy for being 5'3"? I would say so, but at the same time, how are you feeling energetic? You do not have a bunch of like brain fog. Can you perform well in your workouts? Is your sleep good? Is your cravings not off the wall? So like there's a lot of factors at play that can determine whether that's a healthy weight for you. But it sounds within that's 60 kgs is around like 120 to 130 pounds at 5'3". So sounds like within like a range of healthiness for sure. Well, I want to lose weight, but I can't seem to find the motivation. So I would say it all starts with belief that you can accomplish it. When you have a big goal in mind, such as I want to lose 30 pounds, I want to lose 40 pounds, it seems very daunting. It seems very scary. It's very easy to doubt yourself because, what it takes to be consistent to get to that 40 pounds, it seems like that's not achievable. But if you take down that big goal and you break it down into smaller subsets of objectives that are a bit more digestible, for example, my goal is to lose 1 pound this week, and all I need to do is go on my 30-minute walks every single day and have protein and fiber in 3 meals per day, and I'm gonna lose that 1 pound. And that's all I'm gonna focus on. When you're in that present moment, achieving those objectives each day, those simple objectives that are, very easy to implement and do, that builds up your motivation, lets you know you're doing something right. So I'm a big believer in just celebrating those small wins and building off that momentum. And sooner rather than later, not thinking about 30 pounds, you'll be down 30 pounds down the line as you continue to build out that habit. And that is the approach that I use with my clients and see really great results. So if I have a piece of chocolate, what can I pair it with to improve my nutrition? So great example. I just had a piece of chocolate. I had that piece of chocolate after a filling protein and fiber filled lunch. So my lunch was 4 boiled eggs, which is going to have protein, healthy fats. And as I always say in my videos, literally nature's multivitamin, because if you look at the micronutrient breakdown of an egg, specifically the yolk, it has so many of those vital, essential vitamins and minerals. And then I had avocado, which has healthy fats, potassium. Obviously, we all know this by now. And it also has fiber, which I don't really mention, but because it would be a little bit long, but it does have fiber as well. So that's kind of that fiber component there. And that's what I had for my lunch. I had a little bit of, Chipotle mayo, a little bit of sauce. Kept it mindful though. I did make sure to measure out my sauce just so, because it's easy to just really just pour on the sauce. Because who doesn't like sauce at the end of the day? But I kept in mind for like 1.5 servings of that. Made it a little like egg salad. That was really filling. By the time I was done that, I went on to my cupboard where at the back of my cupboard I have these snack size Snicker bars that are like this big, 60 calories. And I had one. I turned that Snicker bar into this little one into 3 to 4 bites. So I didn't just, shove the whole thing in my mouth and eat it as fast as possible. I was in the present moment, enjoyed it. And I felt like, hey, pretty satisfied. And I kind of moved on to going live. And I'm not hungry at all. I feel very satisfied with that meal. I was able to have that chocolate and have that balance. So it's really just about the having the protein and fiber before the chocolate and not necessarily just having chocolate on its own with, nothing. It's because that's just going to lead to more hunger at the end of the day. Any tips on how to not think about food all day? And this is very cliche, but reason why we're thinking about food is, there's different reasons like stress, something to look forward to, and you need to self-reflect and find other things that you look forward to, other things that you enjoy in life. For myself, I like to, for one, I play video games. I like single player games. I like multiplayer games. I like playing those with my friends. So that's something I really enjoy doing. I read. I read some books. I like to read books. I'll go for a walk, call a friend, listen to some music, watch a movie or TV show, work on my passion project is really what I do as my career. So, you know, doing this, going on live. So it's really important to just find those activities that you get a lot of fulfillment, that you can look forward to doing, that are meaningful to you, that are not necessarily food. And once you have that purpose, you find that purpose in life. Like food just becomes one of those things like, oh, I got to eat food now. Like you just remember I got to eat food now because that's kind of the schedule I'm on. I used to really obsess about food a lot, and it was because you know, that was one of the big things that I was looking forward to. And, I didn't have a lot of these other things, like these hobbies and other things, going for me until I decided, enough was enough because I was in this endless cycle of binging, restricting, guilt, and you just end up in the same place and you don't really go anywhere. And I realized that, that had to stop. I had to cut the cycle and whatever my triggers were, whether that was like having DoorDash and Uber Eats on my phone, you know, silencing the notifications, deleting those apps. So I'm not going on those apps, getting notifications that, hey, Chipotle is running 2-for-1 burrito bowls or KFC is doing 2-for-1 buckets of chicken, having that stimulus, maybe blocking mukbangs on social media. I think mukbangs on social media do harm to some, it can be triggering to some, which no shame to those creators. They're doing well, they're doing their thing, but if that's something that triggers you, then I would advise you to watch that content and try to block it from your feed and just put like not interested, and your feed should not show you that kind of stuff, because food is one of those things where we just see it everywhere. We see it on TV, we see it when we're going out, so we're constantly being bombarded with food. So it can be pretty difficult to stop thinking about food because it's constantly in our within our visual stimulus. Is a 230 calorie deficit worth it for a 20-day plan? Yeah, it's a moderate deficit. That would definitely work. And I would say, not don't really put like a day number on it. Just, you have a goal of like whatever your goal is. I want to lose fat. I want to feel confident in how I look. I want to be more toned. And what you want to do is just focus on what you need to do each day. Take those small wins, whether that's half a pound, quarter of a pound, and take it the sustainable route. Don't try to over restrict. If you have a day where you're a little bit, overate a little bit, don't try to compensate by eating less the next day. Just go forward and go as you were on plan with the caloric amount you were at. And eventually you will get to a point where you feel confident in how you look, and you would have done it sustainably. So, when it comes to maintaining those results, you'll be able to do that for the long term, as opposed to just constraining everything to a 20-day plan. And then the 20 days are up and maybe you didn't get to where you wanted to be. So you super restrict to try to get there as fast as possible. I'm not really a big fan of putting harsh time frames on things unless there's some kind of competition in the mix. Like, for example, a fighter needs to drop weight for a fight, a bodybuilder or a figure competitor needs to be at some certain level of body fat for some specific competition, things like that. Or a model has a shoot coming up. Avocado man. Yep, that's me. You got me. And I had one out of two avocados I'll probably eat today. Probably have some later with my healthy fat heaven dinner, which is I already made it. It's already meal prepped. Another key, meal prepping is something that is super important if you're looking to make nutrient dense eating the more convenient option. We tend to choose convenience. So if you meal prep, like I have salmon, a lot of salmon cooked, a lot of rice, a lot of veggies already cooked. I'm gonna have that for dinner. It's in my fridge. I'll put some avocado on the side. Easy meal for me for a few days. So, carving out some time a couple times a week or once a week to I like to do it a couple times a week because I don't want to keep my food too old, but carving out some time where you can meal prep these things. And the salmon was a matter of just putting the spices I was needing and throwing it in the oven. So it's nothing crazy. Like while it's cooking, I was doing work and stuff like that. So it doesn't really require, as much as you think to meal prep, simple meals. It doesn't have to be something crazy. Should I just count calories or track carbs, fats, protein as well? I would do both, and it's very easy to do both by just using an app like MyFitnessPal and inputting your food. It does it all for you. At the end of the day, MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, they literally do all the heavy lifting for you. Yeah, apps again. MyFitnessPal, Chronometer are the best. What advice would you give a young person trying to lose fat? I would focus on the habits. At the end of the day, it's the habits that give the long-term sustainable results, and they need to be sustainable habits. So things like, and these are very simple, going for a 30-minute walk every single day, adding a protein and a fiber source in every single one of your meal and snacks. And that is, protein plus fruit or vegetable. Proteins could be chicken, steak, turkey, beef, uh, yogurt, cottage cheese, whey protein powder, lentils, quinoa, things like that, plus your favorite fruit or veggie. So you follow that formula, you'll feel a lot more energy because you're meeting a lot of your nutrient needs. You're going to be going for walks, and I would advise doing some kind of resistance training, whether that's 2 to 3 times a week of resistance training, some sort of like lifting weights or using resistance bands or Pilates or your body weight movement, something where you're putting your muscle under some kind of tension that has to overcome. How many grams of protein is in one cat? I couldn't tell you, to be honest. And leave the cats alone, okay? What's going on, Cement? Welcome to the live. Lost 3 kgs. Thanks to you means a lot. That's amazing. I am so proud of you, and I appreciate your support so much. Keep doing great work. Love to hear that. Keep up the wonderful work. Great info and encouragement. You're inspiring, dedicated, and helping. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That is such a heartfelt message, and I wouldn't be here without all you wonderful supporters, supporting me and growing this community of inclusivity. The goal really is to break down the barriers of entering into fitness and starting your fitness journey, because I feel like it can be scary for people, especially when you're at the start, you don't know much, and trying to go to the gym, it can be a little bit intimidating, or trying to start a diet can be a little bit intimidating. So just making it simple, make it simple, practical, make it easy, especially for those beginners coming in, so they can start building out those healthy habits and seeing those long-term sustainable results that they're after. Hey, user KW1EZ9KS5Z, welcome to the live. Appreciate you. What's my take on calisthenics? I think calisthenics are great. Be able to master your body weight and move it in all certain ways, you have a lot of strength to do things like muscle ups and like the flag, if you're hanging on the flag like that. You know, the a lot of calisthenics is one of the honestly hardest forms of exercise. You can get a great physique doing calisthenics. It's a little there's in terms of like the principles like building muscle with it. Is it a little bit easier if you're lifting weights like to track that? Yes, but you can still build a good physique with calisthenics. Any suggestions for a consistent morning workout routine to help lose 35 pounds, gain muscle? So I know diet can play a factor as well. So in terms of the workout, so workouts, exercise, specifically weight training, doesn't really serve, like you said, the weight training doesn't really serve to help with fat loss. Like obviously if you build muscle, your metabolism increases because you have more tissue and cells on your body that are going to be working and burning through energy. But I would say, follow a plan that you can sustainably and be consistent with. So if that's 3 full body workouts a week, if that's 2 full body workouts a week, if that's an upper lower 4 times a week. So something that you can do consistently that you feel recovered from. So you're not going into the next workout session feeling really, really tired. So it should be spaced out appropriately. And I would say, in terms of like your cardio, which does, at the end of the day, cardio does help with burning fat, because of course you're burning the calories. It doesn't really serve to build muscle. It helps your heart health, burning calories. For cardio, you can do something like low impact walking on an incline on the treadmill. You can even do hit workouts, which are a little bit more fatiguing and a little bit short time, but you do have to balance that with your actual weight training, because it can cause decreased performance in your weight training, which is why I wouldn't advise you to do a hit cardio workout right before weight training. Probably do it in a separate session or after. Machines over free weight, they both have, honestly, they both have their purposes. And I would say, just do what you're comfortable with. Ideally, can you isolate the muscles a little bit better on a machine because it's a fixed and that you don't need to incorporate a bunch of stabilizers? Sure, but there is value in doing free weights and training those muscles that are stabilizers, that because in reality, like, the purpose of training for a lot of people is to become more functional, and we don't live within machines that are stabilized. We're going to have to carry people or carry kids if you have kids, or move around and carry things. So that would come directly from free weight training as opposed to machines. So I would say just incorporate both ideally. Hi Nico, any tips to deal with binging? I try to fill up with veggies, but it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes I feel like I have a black hole in my stomach. So in terms of binging, there's a lot of aspects that comes to binging. Yes, I think filling up on veggies is a great strategy. Even better if you can get protein with the veggies combined. Even better if you can stack a healthy fat source on it, and that would be something that's really, really satisfying. Also, binging can come from an overall mindset of trying to be too restrictive with foods, like putting taboos on foods, like, oh, I'm never going to eat chocolate on this diet. And the more you try to resist something, the more the craving comes in, that temptation comes in. So Allowing yourself these things, like for myself, for example, when I was like telling myself I can't eat this, I can't eat that, it would lead to these insane binges of just going overboard with all of it, like a whole dozen donuts. Nowadays, I allow myself to, if I want to have a donut, I have a donut. I fit it within my allotted caloric intake for the day. Doesn't make me feel guilty at all. I feel good eating it. I'll have it. I usually pair it with. I like to get a protein iced coffee. Might have a piece of fruit too after with it as well. So you have like protein and fiber. It's more filling. And I can't say that I've been sitting there eating a dozen donuts. I haven't done that since I was in that binge restrict cycle. It's more so I'll have one donut, maybe one and a half or two at most, but nothing close to a dozen, nothing close to binging. I just enjoy in the moment. I'm present with my food, and I don't try to just, huff and puff these foods down as fast as possible and try to take these big bites. I try to make the most of the amount of bites. The more bites you can take, the more bites you can make out of a meal, the more satisfying it'll be. You'll be more in tune with your hunger cues. So things like that have been really a great help. Hey, what's going on, Sarin? Welcome to the live. Happy to have you in here. I do a 30-minute weighted jump rope session 2 times a week and add a 30-minute calisthenics workout 6 days a week. Perfect. That sounds like a great routine. If that's something you enjoy and you're seeing progression in your calisthenics, then by all means, it's great. At the end of the day, there's more than one way to get to the end goal. It doesn't always have to be weight training and Stairmaster. Like, there's so many different ways to move your body, exercise. Find the one that's most enjoyable for you and be consistent with that. And that's how you build your sustainable, healthy lifestyle at the end of the day. We have 8 likes on the post. We get to 10 likes. We just need 2 more. I would love you all forever. Any tips on improving digestibility besides enzymes and probiotics? Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say, probiotics are a great thing. Prebiotics are good too. For example, like sourdough. Digestive enzymes. Actually, pineapple has some digestive enzymes in it. But outside of that, it's important to not only try to improve your digestion by adding things in, but you may want to also limit or minimize some things that are irritable to your digestion. So if you find that, just to give my dad as an example, so if he eats tomatoes, for example, it doesn't do well with him. It might have like gastric reflux and things like that. It's too acidic for him. So is he going to eat tomatoes often? Probably not. So finding those foods that really irritate your digestion and just minimizing those. You don't have to necessarily like cut them out completely, but shouldn't be something that's like a staple in your diet every single day. And you should see, improvements in your digestion. Yeah, of course, no problem. Thank you so much, Ella. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an awesome day as well. And we have 12 likes. Really appreciate the support. I'll take a few more questions, and then I got to hop off. But it's been a really good live, pretty good live. I would say at the beginning we had a bunch of people in here not asking questions. Which, hey, if you just want to watch me, like look at the camera, that's fine too. Yeah, appreciate it. Fantastic. Lots of great advice. Currently working on eating slower so my brain has time to catch up with my body. Thank you. Amazing, amazing. Me too. I think that was one of the biggest changes that is so underrated, so not thought about, like the eating behaviors. I don't see enough coaches even recommending that. That it's like the etiquette of eating. Once you improve that, learn to slow down, learn to be present with your food and be in tune with like chewing and tasting and enjoying it, you find eating is a lot more pleasurable, and you don't need to eat nearly as much to satisfy yourself. I'm 15, losing 1.7 kgs per safe. Is it safe? So that's like 3, 4. It depends if you're like very morbidly obese. If you're very obese, then you can get away with losing it that fast. If you're not, that could be a bit on the higher end. I would start to monitor for diet fatigue symptoms such as, excuse me, increased cravings, disturbed sleep, increased fatigue and brain fog, decreased, workout performance, for example. So monitor for those symptoms if those are coming in, and if you're a woman, irregular period as well. So if those things are popping up, then it is a sign that you are pushing it too far. Time to, take a step back. Any tips for vegetarians? Good question. I was a vegetarian for 3 years and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So, for vegetarians, like it depends what the concern is. If it's protein, I would do dairy and eggs. So, I just wouldn't do meat. So, I would do a lot of, I'd have protein powder, eggs. I did do the fake meats. They're not the most nutrient dense thing in the world. They're usually like soy based. But I would do like veggie burgers, veggie hot dogs, which I did like those. They were pretty good, especially if you find a brand that you really like. Tofu, tempeh, seitan, really, really good sources. Lentils, super inexpensive, amazing protein and fiber source as well. Quinoa is not bad. It's not like the best protein source, but it's pretty decent when you combine it with other things. So, yeah, that's what I would say in terms of protein. Otherwise, like I built the most muscle when I was vegetarian. So, it's not a limiting factor when it comes to maximizing your physique. But it depends again, what kind of vegetarian you are, if you're eating eggs or not. But there's still a lot of food, even if you're even vegan, there's still a lot of options. How important is stretching mobility? Does it improve muscle mass over time? Injection blood videos, thank you. So stretching mobility, I wouldn't say it has like some crazy impact on muscle building itself, but it does help mitigate injury. And if you get seriously injured, then you're probably going to lose muscle. And depending on the extent of the injury, it could permanently change things moving forward. So, avoiding injury is probably one of the biggest priorities when it comes to how I program for clients, how I program for myself. So, I would say mobility and stretching is rather important just so you can make sure you have good joint health. Because especially as you get older, you want good joint health, you want to be functional, you want to be able to move and do all the things that you did when you were younger. I'm doing great, Aquarius. Thank you for asking. Love beans as well. Vegan versus vegetarian. Again, it's just you're not eating eggs and dairy, so you're gonna have to emphasize a lot of tofu, tempeh, seitan, lentils, beans, legumes, hemp hearts, cheese seeds. Like you're gonna emphasize a lot of those things. You might take a vitamin B12 supplement, as it's you might be deficient on that as a vegan. So there's a good way to go about being a vegan. Is it for everybody? I don't think so. But you know, whatever works best. I think some people are vegan for moral purposes. Of course, the the domesticated animal industry, maybe not might not be the most ethical thing if you actually. I wonder like how many people would actually eat meat if they had to slaughter their own animals, because if you see how they're treated, they're not treated so great, and I think my grandmother actually worked in a slaughterhouse for a bit, so it's not for the faint of heart, to be able to do that job. It means a lot, Fiend. I appreciate your support. Last question here, or actually, I'll answer these two questions here. What is your opinion? Are signs of overtraining? How many days per week do you go to the gym right now? I'm going 6 days. One rest day. I'm seeing great improvement. So, recover signs of overtraining would be strength decrease. Like it's literally if you're getting weaker in your workout performance and you feel overly fatigued, and your sleep might not be so great, probably overtraining, maybe take a deload. I personally train every other day. I train every other day, or two upper body, two lower body. So that's how I go. So I go into every gym session off a fresh rest day. And if you're seeing really great results, I used to run, the 3 days on, one day off, saw great results. So, again, there's more than one way to get to an end goal. So if you feel like you're progressing and doing great, just keep consistent at the end of the day. Does cutting out bread completely help with weight loss? It's my guilty pleasure. It can, depending on how much bread you're eating, but bread in and of itself is not as calorie dense people think. It's like slice of bread's what, like 80 calories. You have two slices, so 160 calories. You can get low calorie bread that's even less. You can get protein bread that's even more filling. So I wouldn't say like try to cut out bread, but more so when you eat bread, like what are you eating it with? Are you having a really predominant protein source? Are you having a predominant fiber source? That could be as simple as like, hey, I'm gonna get the high protein bread. That's also high fiber, so that takes care of that. So it's more filling. And I'm gonna put like a chicken breast, make it like a chicken sandwich, put some lettuce in it, or spinach in it or something to add fiber, and it's a lot more nutrient dense, a lot more filling, and you'll feel like because ideally, do you want to cut out bread for the rest of your life? Probably not. So if you try to cut out bread for a prolonged period of time, and let's just say you lose weight. Let's just say you lose weight, and like, okay, I'm good now. I'm gonna go back to what I was doing and eat bread, and then you start gaining it back. So ideally, you want to find a way to implement bread with balance that allows you to lose weight, so that the weight that you lose, you can maintain it because you're not being overly restricted. So that would be my advice for bread. Um, Now, sorry, how important is collagen for active people over 40? So, or like the collagen that is consumed as a supplement doesn't have a very significant impact on the levels of collagen in your skin. I would say the best thing you can do is, for example, sunscreen, to prevent skin damage. Using good skin products like adapalene, which is a retinoid, which sells skin turnover. So, you know, fending off things like acne scarring and helping that heal quickly. So that more goes into like the skincare aspect. Yeah, I don't really think it's kind of a waste of money for oral collagen, but I would say also, there's collagen in meats and things too, anyways, because there's those tissues, those elastic tissues in the meats do have a bit of collagen too. So that would be my opinion on collagen for joint health. I mean, yeah, same thing. Like the oral collagen is not. I wouldn't say it's like very significant of an impact. You're better off just eating anti-inflammatory foods for joint health, because making sure you're eating your calcium and things that actually make up these joints. So making sure your calcium intake is good. You could take like anti-inflammatory, like turmeric, glucosamine are really good for joint health. I would say collagen's more so, honestly, a kind of like a gimmicky supplement, like an oxy shred to lose fat. But if you enjoy it, if you enjoy taking it, then and if you feel good on it, then who am I to tell you not to take it? At the end of the day, I personally just wouldn't take it. And yeah, that's kind of my opinion on collagen. Well, seed oil, especially if it's high oleic, for example, that bad for you. So you like my hairstyle? Thank you so much, Abby. This is the last question I'll answer. So, seed oils, I would say, when overconsumed, are not the best when it comes. They're pretty like pro-inflammatory, I would say, in high amounts. But you're not gonna get sick if you eat some seed oils here and there. At the end of the day, it's not going to be the end of the world. So, if you want to avoid them completely, by all means, you can avoid them. If you don't want to eat them sparingly here and there, I don't eat them a lot. Like there might be a seed oil in a sauce or something like that, but I'm not sitting there cooking with sunflower oil or something. I'll cook with olive oil. I'll cook with avocado oil. So I would say, you know if you're as long as you're not like drinking pounds upon pounds of like sunflower oil and canola oils, you should be fine. Should be fine. Well, that would be the last question that I answer. I really appreciate all the wonderful questions. I appreciate all the wonderful support. And I'm so sorry if I missed any of your questions. Please drop them in my most recent videos. I check comments, or this live will be uploaded. Once it's uploaded, you can drop your question there. I will respond to that. Other than that, I should be live again sometime this week, probably Thursday. So look forward to that. And other than that, again, I'm so grateful for all of you, all the amazing support on my content. We're only going to keep growing and just continuing to provide valuable information to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat your avocados for healthy fats and potassium.